Jonathan Agudo has spent a decade trying to get the builder of the Darwin City Cube apartment block, Tomazos Group, to stop water leaking into his top floor property.
Unsuccessfully on 4 different times over 4 years, they went up on the roof and said that they had resolved the issue and hadn't.
Jonathan now lives in Melbourne for work. He's still paying a $700,000 mortgage on the Darwin property that he can't sell or rent. He's engaged his own engineer and toxic mould expert to assess the damage.
You can see an active leak above us, still in the air conditioning pipes.
Even to come in here to look at the damage, we have to wear masks like this because of the risk the mould poses to our health.
Basically, they said the air quality in there was of such poor quality that it was uninhabitable.
He's astounded the NT government's Building Advisory Service regulator hasn't forced the builder to fix the defects. In a letter sent last year, the regulator said despite sufficient evidence showing the practitioner breached the Building Act by failing to install an anti-leak device, it wouldn't prosecute the builder, saying time had run out and there was a lack of sufficient evidence to support it.
Somehow they found that there was nothing that they could actually do.
Jonathan Agudo has no claim under the NT government's building insurance schemes either. He's now launched expensive Supreme Court action against the builder to try to get compensation.
I don't have any financial certainty going forward.
There's movement inside.
In the Palmerston suburb of Johnson, 16 properties also built by the Tomazos Group will have to be demolished because of defects. They were built under an affordable housing deal between the NT government and Charity Venture Housing in 2015.
We took out all the tenants because they were considered no longer safe.
After investigating since 2019, the regulator this year decided it couldn't prosecute the Tomazos Group.
The end result was that the time for taking action against the builder had expired.
The NT government's insurance schemes also wouldn't pay out, leaving the charity to negotiate with the government for direct compensation. Tomazos Group declined an interview. In the Palmerston suburb of Bellarmine, local member Mark Turner has spent a decade lobbying for a group of owners left with defective homes. The government has found the wobbling, cracking buildings wouldn't withstand a cyclone.
They're risking life and limb every time they walk up the stairs. There is positive obligations under the legislation that they should have acted, and they failed to do it.
The owners were forced to go to the NT Civil Tribunal themselves.
It's a complete failure of government, Jane, at every possible level that we have.
The tribunal ordered the builder to pay compensation. He's now appealing that in the Supreme Court.
You can only judge the builder if you build it as per the approved drawings.
He thinks the government needs to have stronger checks and balances.
You need to have architects and you need to have engineers in your staff who can cross-check the work of the people who produce the documents.
Other builders also want the NT's regulation and insurance regimes toughened.
It's a broken system and it just doesn't work.
The Labour government thinks building standards are mostly good and isn't planning changes.
What this government's not going to do is set a nasty precedent where we're stepping in all the time. There are legal avenues that anyone can take, the Q building for example, or other buildings that they can take to rectify a situation in the building.
For any government minister to suggest that a consumer should take civil action when we have a consumer protection regime, that's just a disgrace. We need to protect consumers, not destroy them, and that's exactly what we're doing.
The Country Liberal Party also isn't promising changes if it wins government. Jane Barden, ABC News.